Hello out there. This is Chelsea Stripling, Head of Instructional Programs here at the Evans Library on the beautiful Florida Tech campus. Welcome to this recorded research support workshop from the Evans Library. Today I'll be walking you through finding and citing open images for your presentations. Now, what is a presentation without images, right? The old adage, a picture is worth 1,000 words, certainly holds true for presentations. Images can help you reinforce important points and illustrate complicated ideas and feelings. However, we have to be careful with the images we select to use in our presentations. It might surprise you to find out, but not all images are free to use. Unless they are designated otherwise, photographs and images fall under copyright. Copyright is a set of laws that protect and ensure the rights of an author or creator to their original work. A copyrighted image or photograph requires permission from the creator in order to be used by someone else. Failure to abide by copyright laws and restrictions can come with some serious consequences. Luckily, there is an alternative. We can safely use open licensed images in our presentations. There are two types of openly licensed images: Creative Commons and public domain. Let's watch these brief videos to learn more about these concepts.
Hey, teacher, I have a question. This picture says it's public domain, but it's a volcano. How is that public?
Good question. Public domain is not a caption. It's a word that tells you that this picture's free to use.
What do you mean? Aren't all pictures free?
Nope. A picture is someone's intellectual property. The person who took it owns it. That's the same for any creative thing like books, songs, music, papers. The list goes on. Public domain tells you that you have unrestricted access and can use it with unlimited creativity.
That's crazy.
Nope. Only crazy if you choose to use copyright materials and you end up in court for breaking the law. You will know if it's public domain because it'll fall into one of these categories. 1. All works published in the United States before 1923. 2. Anything that's not copyrightable, like a title, name, short phrase, familiar symbols, or numbers. 3. If a government employee created it as part of their job, so look for the .gov. 4. If it is a fact or an idea, a process or a system. 5. If you make something and assign it to the public domain, like this photographer did. Or 6. If you let your copyright expire without notice or renewal, it will end up in the public domain. Got it?
Got it.
So, public domain is one alternative to copyright. Public domain images come with no restrictions for reuse. Now, let's look at Creative Commons. Let's recap these ideas. Things in the public domain are not protected. They are free to use or reuse, and they are either items where copyright has expired, items that were published before 1923, or items where the creator has intentionally put them into the public domain. Creative Commons is a little different. Per the Creative Commons website, they say Creative Commons are free, easy-to-use copyright licenses to make a simple and standardized way to give the public permission to share and use your creative work under conditions of your choice. There are a number of different Creative Commons licenses, and each of them prescribe different levels of control to the creator. Some Creative Commons licenses are very open, giving us lots of freedom to use and reuse an item. Other Creative Commons licenses are more restrictive, allowing reuse or modification only under certain conditions. You can learn more about the different Creative Commons licenses by visiting their website. Now, there are a number of places to search for openly licensed images on the web. Whether they are Creative Commons or public domain, I have put together a list of websites that you can use to find these open images. Flickr, a popular photo sharing site, has a whole section of Creative Commons licensed images. Pixabay is a site offering only public domain or Creative Commons images. Wikimedia Commons, which was mentioned in the Creative Commons video we watched a moment ago, has all kinds of Creative Commons licensed works, not just images. Unsplash.com is a great site offering high-quality photos for use under what is essentially public domain. And you can even manipulate some of the search filters in Google Images to find Creative Commons licensed images. Searching Pixabay, Unsplash, and Wikimedia Commons is really easy since they only offer open licensed images. Here's a screenshot of a Pixabay search result screen. Now you can notice up at the top I've put in a keyword for the types of photos that I'm looking for. I press search and I get some search results. Now, one thing to note about Pixabay here. The images highlighted in the yellow bar at the top of the list are not openly licensed images. They are stock images which are copyrighted and require payment in order to download and use them. You can tell this is the case by the watermark located on the images themselves. The images below the yellow bar are the search results of openly licensed images. To search for Creative Commons images using Flickr, you must manipulate some of the search filters, so I wanted to show you what that looks like. When you're searching Flickr, you'll put in your keyword, and once again I've used aviation, I've conducted a search, I've got some results. Once you get your results, you're going to need to look for the Any License filter. Click that and then select All Creative Commons. Searching in Google Images for openly licensed images requires 3 steps. The first thing you'll have to do, of course, is conduct your search on your keyword and look for images. Once you get your search results, you'll click on this button labeled number 1, which is Search Tools. When you click Search Tools, it gives you an additional menu of some filters. One of those filters is labeled here as number 2, Usage Rights. And in that menu, you'll select the option that says Labeled for Reuse. That will show you either Creative Commons or public domain licensed images. Now, just because these images are openly licensed does not mean that we are exempt from providing credit to the original creator. Open licensed images require an attribution. Attribution is essentially a citation for an open image. Attributions are different from academic bibliographic citations in that they don't follow a citation style like MLA or APA style, and they don't need to be included in your final work cited or list of references for a project. Attributions are designed to accompany an open image right where it's used, which means in a presentation, the attribution for an open image would appear on the same slide as the image itself. Creative Commons website breaks down the best practices for attributions, and they've got some things that an ideal attribution should include. So to create an attribution, you need 4 things: the title, the author, the source, and the license. Here's an example of an attribution for a Creative Commons licensed photo. Here we have the title of the photo, and you can see the title is also a hyperlink, which will take us back to the Flickr webpage where this photo was originally found. After the title and the source, we have the author. In this case, it's TVOL, which is the username of the person that uploaded the photo to Flickr originally. Following that, we have the licensing information, where we're telling people the license is CC BY 2.0. So that's Creative Commons photo. So here's a visual example. So this is a screenshot from the Creative Commons website detailing the parts of an ideal attribution. And again, like I just mentioned, you should have a title, author, source, and license included in your attribution. The attribution information for a Creative Commons or openly licensed photo would then go in a small text box, and that text box should be located or positioned next to that image. You can see my attribution is indicated here by the red arrows. Now, an attribution doesn't have to be on the right side of the photo like my example here, but it must be clear that the attribution is in reference to that image. So depending on the design of your slide or the layout of your presentation, it might make more sense to put your attribution at the top of the picture, on the left side, at the bottom corner of your slide. However makes more sense, just make sure that you're providing the proper information and ensuring that attribution is visible. There are a couple of other things to note about attribution. Public domain images do not require an attribution, but it is a good idea to include one. Including an attribution for a public domain image helps you to cover all your bases, as well as it follows in that proper academic tradition of noting all of your outside sources. Attributions for public domain images should have the same information as Creative Commons attributions, but sometimes the information that you need might be missing. You may not be able to get the title, author, source, and license. If that is the case, just do what you can with the information that you are able to gather. Create the attribution in the way that you normally would, but if you only have a source and a license, at least provide that information by giving the URL. Now let's look at some examples of attributions in presentation slides. This presenter used an image as a background for their slide, which is a good way to avoid too much text on a slide while also making a visual connection with your audience. You can see the attribution is here at the bottom right-hand corner of this photo. Now let's go over our 4 components. We have title, author, source, and license. In this case, the title might be missing. Now, it may be because the title isn't available, or the person that created this attribution decided you could view the title on your own on the source page, but either way, we're not provided with a title in our attribution. The author is indicated as Matt Davis. The source is hyperlinked and also mentioned as Flickr. And the license is provided as a CC BY, so we know that this is a Creative Commons image. Now here's another example of a slide or a image being used as a slide background. However, this is an example of what an attribution for a public domain image would look like. Now again, the public domain images, it's a good idea to include these attributions. So the attribution for this one is indicated here in the red circle. We still have the 4 components that we need. We have the title, the author, the source is hyperlinked in the title, and the license is CC0, which is public domain. Now here's an example of using an image on a slide with text. And this might be a common design for you. You may even be planning to present some slides that look like this, using some text in a bulleted list and then a picture to illustrate your point. So if that's the case, just make sure that you include your attribution in the slide with the picture or the image, and that it's clearly referencing that particular image. This example of an attribution, we have our 4 components listed and provided here. We've got the title of the picture, which is also a hyperlink to the source. We have the author, in this case the Flesh for Blood is the author's username for Flickr, and we have the license information, which is CC BY. Now, I have some good news. There is a tool called the Open Attribution Builder that will help you create attributions for open licensed works with ease. Instead of typing the information and creating hyperlinks yourself, the Open Attribution Builder allows you to copy and paste links and information and select the proper licensing info. It will then generate the attribution for you, which you can copy and insert into your presentation. To find this tool, just Google Open Attribution Builder and look for the result from Open Washington. Here's a screenshot of the Open Attribution Builder all filled out. I was creating an attribution for a public domain image that I found on Pixabay. So I have the title of the image here. The URL underneath the title is the source. So remember, hyperlinking the source in the title is kind of the ideal way to do that. I have the author's information, and the URL underneath the author field is for some kind of author profile or author dashboard page, or user profile or user dashboard page if that's available. In this case, this Pixabay user did have a kind of user profile page set up, so we provided the URL to that profile page just to give the author of this or the creator of this picture in this case a little bit more visibility. This is not a required field, so if you don't have this information, some sites don't provide you with this information, so if you don't have it, that's fine. Then of course you would select the license, and in this case we have a public domain image, so it's CC0, and then your attribution is generated at the bottom of the builder. And as I said, from here you would just need to copy this and paste or insert it into a text box and put it into your presentation. Now, some reminders and additional tips on presentations. The first, don't use your slides as a script. This is the most important thing to remember. This is what causes death by PowerPoint. Make sure you're using small amounts of text per slide. Any text that you put on a slide should be impactful, so you don't want to just bore your audience with tons and tons of sentences. There are a couple of rules you can remember to help keep your text to a minimum. The first is the 4x5 rule. So if you're using a bulleted list of text, just remember that you should have no more than 4 bullet points with no more than 5 words each bullet point on a slide. So don't overload your audience with lots of lists. The other rule is to remember the rule of 33, which says that there should not be more than 33 words per slide. So if you're using some kind of block quotation or including text in there, just try to keep it to a minimum and don't exceed that 33 word per slide. Now keep in mind that pictures can add impact. We've talked about that already with this presentation. Pictures can be very important and can really help to visually connect your audience with your content and your presentation. So be creative with your image choice. Try to illustrate your ideas with an image instead of just a list of text. The other thing you could try is using pictures as slide backgrounds, which again is very eye-catching and is a good way to kind of catch your audience's attention. The last tip is to be mindful of your color schemes and layout choices. Keep accessibility in mind. There are folks out there that have visual impairments that may prevent them from seeing certain color combinations, or that may cause discomfort by looking at certain kinds of designs or colors. So try to be cognizant of that. Keep your presentations to high contrast, which a dark slide with light words and light text is a good contrast, or vice versa. But try to make sure that your information is readable and accessible to multiple kinds of audiences. So there you have the overview of finding and citing open images for presentations. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. My name is Chelsea Stripling. Again, my email address is cstripling@fit.edu. And my phone number you can call from my office is 674-8021. I do hope to hear from you. Good luck with your presentations. Happy presenting, and go Panthers!